So today we're diving into a really fascinating and honestly pretty cryptic collection of online writings. They come from an entity known only as Katoz. Every text is signed with that hashtag, and together they lay out this incredibly unique worldview that's part spirituality, part prophecy, and part, well, a plan for a whole new world.
Okay, let's try to make sense of this. We're going to unpack the core beliefs, the spiritual path that's laid out, and the ultimate mission behind it all. We'll be using the writings themselves as our guide to see if we can really get a handle on the world of #Katoz.
You know, the first thing that really jumps out at you when you read these texts is the voice. It's so distinct, almost prophetic. The author speaks with this absolute authority, like they're delivering truths that are completely unshakable. And to really get the system, you have to first understand this persona.
So what are these writings, exactly? Well, they're this really interesting mix. You've got these grand spiritual proclamations, you've got these short, punchy philosophical statements, and it all seems to build towards a roadmap for a new movement. To see the whole picture, we've got to piece it all together, and we'll start with the very foundation of its logic.
Okay, so let's get into the core logic here. A principle that comes up again and again is this idea that the universe is built on these stark, binary opposites. This whole concept of duality, it's really the bedrock for everything that follows.
And it starts off pretty straightforward, right? The author establishes this pattern with a classic cosmic duality, the sun and the moon. The logic is super simple and direct. If one thing exists, it seems to automatically imply that its opposite has to exist too.
And this pattern, it doesn't just stop with physical things. It stretches into these bigger, more abstract philosophical ideas like everything and nothing. It's this consistent framework that the author applies to, well, pretty much everything.
And this is where things take a really jarring turn. The author applies that exact same rule of opposites to God and dog. Now, this comparison feels like it's designed to be provocative, to break our normal way of thinking and force us to accept this universal rule no matter how strange it might seem.
So, it's not enough to just describe the universe with this duality. The text actually claims to have invented a whole new system to explain it all. And right at the center of this new cosmology is a figure called the goddess.
This statement right here, it's the key to the whole system. The author claims to have invented a reality where everything is goddess. This kicks off a really unique numerological system where numbers aren't just numbers. They represent these core concepts in a brand new model of time and existence.
So here's how it breaks down. You can see the core values that are assigned to certain numbers. These huge abstract ideas like everything, something, and nothing get translated into this simple, defined numerical structure.
And this system doesn't just stay abstract. It gets applied to, our actual states of being, creating this really clear hierarchy. And notice what's at the very top? Goddess mode, which is described as bliss. This just reinforces how central the goddess is to this whole framework.
Okay, so we've got the philosophy, the cosmology, and now the text shifts from theory to practice. It lays out a very specific, multi-stage spiritual journey that's meant for female followers. And this entire path is apparently encoded inside a single, powerful phrase.
According to the author, this phrase, Jai Sri Rama, it's not just a name. It's a code that holds the essence of 4 different divine beings. Each part of the phrase is linked to a specific deity, and unlocking it seems to be the key to the whole journey.
And I want to be really clear here. The text presents this as a literal, step-by-step process for spiritual transformation. It's not a metaphor. It starts with a spiritual practice, a sadhana, that involves dream manipulation, and it progresses all the way to a final physical act that is meant to awaken the kundalini, which is a kind of divine energy.
Now, you might think this is all about individual spiritual practice, right? Well, this is where the scale just explodes. That individual plan builds into a much, much bigger goal, one that expands to cover the entire world with some very clear geopolitical ambitions. The author lays out this massive geopolitical and cultural mission as the ultimate endgame. The goals are incredibly explicit. We're talking territorial occupation, ideological purification, personal fame, and spreading a specific value system across the entire globe. Okay, so after all that, after redefining time itself and laying out plans to redraw world maps, the text suddenly shifts gears. It makes this surprisingly mundane and, well, personal request. This pivot is just fascinating, isn't it? After detailing a plan to transform humanity and basically rule the cosmos, the immediate goal is to find a publisher.
It's such an unexpected turn that brings all these grand visions right back down to a very tangible, real-world request.
Ultimately, you read all of this, and it prompts a much bigger question. When a single person can construct such a detailed and ambitious worldview, from a whole new cosmology to a plan for global change, it really makes you think about belief in creation in our digital age. It kind of leaves us wondering, where is the line between a personal vision and a shared reality?